'70s, Lori became a part-time clerk. I mean, part-time minutes taker. And then she was Lori Brown then. I knew her husband. And then she figured out how she could become an employee by not having to go through the employment process, because we had an opening as for a secretary in the building department.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was hired by the building department. But just what happened though, Doug Parrish was in our system of government then, was in charge of the building department, who was to become her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he was married, but she was married. She was married to Mr. Brown. He was married to Deborah. So,
can you give us more detail on that?
Well, I'm not going to give you more detail on that. I'm just going to say, but very seriously, what happened is that when it got too close, and as nepotism, it was not nepotism. I was married to CEO, city manager. You have to understand, I was city manager. I requested Lori Parrish to resign in my office in City Hall, and she refused, and she has the right to refuse. She felt it wasn't nepotism, and took it to the commission. I took it to the commission because I wanted them to ratify my actions. I have no problem with things like that. And they of course, the vice mayor was Doug Parrish, so they were opposing. They opposed it, and we almost had an altercation. The only time we almost had an altercation on days. And so she didn't resign. So a few days later, there was a petition. It was a petition drive throughout. Employees, they signed the petition, said either one resigns, the other resigns, and she resigned shortly thereafter that. Then she filed this, about that thick of a complaint against me with the Commission on Ethics. She charged me with everything under the sun. You have amazing. Joel Gustafson was the chairman of the Commission on Ethics. Then if you want to check with Joel, and she set this thick thing up there because you resigned. She leaked it. Miami Herald loved it. Carol Weber, remember Carol Weber? They had it too. Herald. Well, they loved it because they were buddies, and they ran the investigation. I was in Tallahassee with Joel. They had the hearing, and they found me innocent of everything except two things. The city clerk did not mail two forms. They were Form 4s, public disclosure form, which I had signed and they were disclosed ready because I had a real estate company. I didn't make salary. I set my business, and everything was legitimate. So my clerk didn't mail two forms, but it was all public disclosed, whatever I was doing. So, and they're fine. You get a copy from the state of Florida. It was de minimis, and I mentioned this at a county commission meeting one day when I was talking about ethics, because it said de minimis hurts because it didn't say in the paper it was all dismissed. You only found nothing, which is frivolous and de minimis. Right. They said Setti guilty, and forever I've been guilty. I don't know what yet of, but it's going to be over. It's going to be over. We're going to be over with this second police force in Broward County run by the property appraisers. So that will do as county commission. We're not funding that anymore.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I got a sheriff's department. We have plenty of law enforcement. You know, you don't get a separate of law enforcement agency. Now, since I'm not intimidated by Miss Parrish, Miss Cohen, Lori Brown Parrish Cohen. I'm not intimidated by her because she's continued. All I want her to do is apologize. If you can get her to apologize to me for starting and trying to ruin my credibility, there's an article in the paper of 2007. It's still online, Miami Herald, where he said you can't trust Russell Setti with a nickel. I think she needs to be held accountable or apologize. And I'm tired of it. I've already put the Miami Herald notice. And you fellows are not guilty, but those are the kind of things you can't run a government if you have people doing things like that. And you talk about intimidation. You check my financial report, it shows $250,000 by the Broward Soil and Water. They owe me, but because of interference by this government that wants to put us out of business.
So I take it as a county commissioner, you would make sure that you would stop that action against the Broward. So
I would not. They're not taking any act. They need to be accountable. I think it's unethical. You don't do that. You don't use your county job to overturn a state agency's election and go out there and lobby for it. Have Eggleston and Eileen and all these people going to Tallahassee and going to the legislative delegation. We hired Levi Williams as an attorney to go and to try to straighten it out, but they don't listen. You see, when we as public servants, when we stop listening, something's going to happen.
We're nearing the